Hello, this is Just Listen, hosted by George. Today is May 26, 2025. Welcome to the podcast. I would like to apologize first because I was on a cruise and then I moved and I really got out of sync with making my podcast, but I am back now, ready to go. I must say that I didn't watch much news while I was doing both of those things, and honestly, that was a good thing. But I am back now, and I am ready to charge forward. Like I've been saying the last couple of months, I'm going to start doing a live podcast with local Illinois politics because there are a lot of things going on in the state that most people are not aware of. So I will put you in the know. Today, I want to talk about the U.S. federal government policy on immigration with other countries. Now, on the surface, that might sound a little complicated, and you might say to yourself, well, why should I be interested in that? Well, and the reason that you should be interested in that is, as you are aware, immigration is the number one issue from like the last 3 or 4 years. So I was curious to how other countries treat us if we would want to come to their country and how they treat the majority of the countries like Mexico, like some of the Middle East countries, Haiti, the Caribbean countries, how they get into other countries and how they decide that they want to get into our country. Now, up until 3 or 4 years ago, we were letting in quite a few people, but not the massive numbers from the past 4 years that you are aware of. Now, let me start with the hardest countries to get into. They might surprise you: Vatican City, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Switzerland, China, and Japan. Lot of Middle Eastern countries. That is surprising, but not really surprising, right? So when you want people to leave their home country, you make them poor and you oppress them, and then you give them a big sign saying, hey, why don't you go to the United States? So maybe we need a 1-for-1 swap because Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, they are wealthy countries. And people from the Middle East should go there because it seems like that the people get along great. But here's the thing. Why is it difficult? You've got things such as length of residency, language proficiency, cultural assimilation, good conduct, financial stability, dual citizenship. Cultural assimilations. Some countries emphasize the need for applicants to demonstrate a strong understanding of and integration into the country's culture and values. Does that sound familiar? You ever see or hear the mainstream media always talking about that it's okay for people to come over here and bring their values. So when we're getting terrorized by people who immigrate from these countries, Haiti, the Middle Eastern countries, they bring their values, and then they either attack us or demonstrate against our government constantly. Financial stability. demonstrating the ability to support oneself financially and contribute to the national economy. Wow. Okay. Now look at the difference between what the United States allows people to do. They will allow people to just come over, and the first thing that we do is put them on our system and take care of them. Other countries do not do that. And as a matter of fact, the majority of the world doesn't do that, except for the United States. Now, we can talk about the why, but then that's a distraction to this one. Language proficiency. Demonstrate fluency in the national language is a common requirement, and the level of proficiency needed can be very high. There are people in the country, as I've stated to you before, I'm staying in line, they're using the SNAP card, which is federal assistance. They can't even speak our language, and we allow it. And also, the immigration codes and laws is probably 8,000 pages, just to put it into context. But none of that is in there. Good conduct. A clean criminal record and history of positive behavior are typically required. Well, look at the last year and a half. We are letting people in with criminal records. So it would make sense that half of the country is against doing that, and that in general, people in the country, I'm in the know a little bit. I don't understand our immigration code and why there is so much pushback against an administration that wants the cream of the crop. Now, let's talk about Haiti for a second. Now, you're not going to believe this. It is tough as heck to get into Haiti. Why did I mention Haiti? The last 4 years, the majority of the people coming into our country illegally would be Haitians. Okay, so obtaining Haitian citizenship, particularly through naturalization, can be a challenging due to the stringent requirements. While it's possible to become a citizen through naturalization, it requires a continuous 5-year residency in Haiti. Birth within the country doesn't automatically grant citizenship. Believe that. Additionally, those naturalized cannot hold public office for 5 years after their naturalization, except for specific positions reserved for natural-born citizens. Wow. So that's pretty complicated in Haiti, and no idea why it's like that. Now, have I ever thought about going to some of these countries? No. A lot of people would want to go to different countries, and it looks like that the easiest one to get into is the United States of America. Maybe Canada would be second, but it's not that easy to get into Canada either. Just the United States. And also in Haiti, you can't have dual citizenship. So if you leave the country, you are not a citizen. You cannot go back. And in addition to that, you can lose your citizenship while you're gone. very complicated system, but Haiti has so many problems. And what I'm leading into is that maybe the United States should make the citizenship match countries like that, because it is not the United States' job to handle every conflict with citizens who want to leave their country when we couldn't get that same deal. Haiti is beachfront property, besides the fact that they've been in civil wars the last 80 years. Next one is China. If you've been outside of the country, which a lot of you have been, you would know that there are Asian people all over the world in huge numbers. And people leave their countries when they are oppressed, they are poor, and they don't agree with the government. Why did I say that at this point? There's people in the United States who don't agree with what I just said, and they should have the right to leave the country. Well, where would they go? Ellen DeGeneres, she's in the UK. George Clooney, he's in the south of France. Well, they're wealthy. So regular people, but the point is this: the immigration policy that the United States has should match what the other country is doing, because we should have an ability, the people who want to leave, to go other places as well. And my big point is that countries like China, as I said, China is one of the most difficult countries in the world to get into. They're the ones with length of residency and some of these other hardline difficulties to even get in the country. Because I know that in the 80s, a lot of Americans wanted to live and work over there because business was booming and there were opportunities. They could not become citizens. Whereas in contrast, especially like in California, Washington State, probably Oregon, we had Asians come into the country in huge numbers and became citizens. So it needs to be fair. Now, why is this important? Again, we are giving any politician that is against just letting everybody into the country a very hard time. The current administration, especially. And we have used the term melting pot for decades. And if people would meet some of the standards of what I just told you that other countries wanted, especially cultural assimilation, which in my opinion is the most important characteristic that someone should have coming into the country. Once you come into this country, you have to accept our values. Now, you can have the foods, the cultural experiences, but don't come in and turn against the government or the people based on how one of these rogue nations is treating their own citizens. Because if we look at it, China, Haiti, they oppress their people at times and they leave. So do the Arabians. Look at those hot spots. This is Just Listen, hosted by George. And as usual, please subscribe to the podcast. Have a great day.